Hello, everyone. Uh, Thank you very much for your patience. Sorry about that. Uh, I am not. I am not very experienced with streaming. Took me a second to get everything all set up, but hopefully we're all good and everyone can hear us. If, in fact, before I go any further, if you can hear me, let me know in the chat there, so that I'm not don't end up talking to nothing for like the next 20 minutes or hour or however long it is. Fair. That's okay for some. Luckily, it actually records all the live streams, so you can go back and watch Toon Talk. All right, so uh, I assume that you guys can hear me because you just responded to me. Yep, this is Phantoms Unmasked. It's basically a new series that I'll do where I talk to other horror content creators, and I'll ask them questions about, you know, behind the scenes questions, learn more about them and all that because we always want to know more about the people that we listen to. Now, I have here with me the Scare Labs, who has been holding down the fart. How you doing, Scare Labs?
Hello, everyone. So that was my terrible impression of you. I do apologise for any offence caused. I'm not bad, sir. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic. Fighting with my computer and all that. But Scare Labs has been holding down the fort, and actually, I think you were talking to the people in the chat before. Well, no, you definitely were talking to the people in the chat more than I was. So, thank you.
I
Appreciate
was
that.
indeed. They're a very friendly bunch in there.
That's good. I don't think they would attack me too hard anyway, or at least I hope not.
I think they're a bit scared that you'll try and eat them if they do. So you're fine.
Well, you never know. Like this IT stuff certainly is frustrating after I ate that guy. Like, you wouldn't think it's that hard. It's just a bunch of lights on the screen. Like, but you press the go button and then it doesn't go. Like, what the heck, man? And I don't even know how I ended up getting it to work. I just kept smashing the go button until it did.
And the problem with the IT guy is that, of course, you stress eat. So you were getting stressed, and he was there.
Yeah, and he
It,
was and he
things happen.
and he was all like, press the settings button, and I'm just like, no, I don't care. Um, so what is it that live stream people do? I should probably say hi to people in the chat. Uh, I'll just we'll,
Chat.
or I'll just who's here right now? Participants. So hello to Damien Hockey and Fearsome Hero. I saw you down there, and Imperial Matman. Uh, Jamie, hi, and hello Lone Wolf. I definitely saw you pottering around in there. PA Nightmares, hello to you too. You're everywhere, so I should have expected you here before anybody. And hey Seraphin, I was just talking to you on Toon Talk. I knew you were going to be here. Oh, and hello me, hi me, and Scare Lab, and
Yes,
also
I am also here.
and also hello X. How's everyone in the chat doing? How y'all doing?
We have Fearsome Hero that's feeling a little sick. Hopefully you're feeling better soon.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Oh, hi Nathan Brennan. Yeah, Fearsome Hero
I
apparently was talking in her sleep, and to as the Raven dreams, and
oh,
demanding his approval. Oh, and hi Philia Noctis, how you doing? It's a lot.
oh,
It's a lot different being the host instead of just being the talker.
yes, you're the one that has to actually run this show.
Yeah, it's a lot different when you just have to sit there and wait until someone says, "Hey, talk," and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, I can do that."
Also, Mr. Nathan Brennan in the chat there, I think I may know him by a different name. Is that you, Shufty?
Shufty. That.
Indeed, he is a streamer that I've been watching quite a lot recently. He's a awesome dude.
Oh, oh. Well, whoever he is, apparently he's at work right now. I, R.I.P. I'm so sorry.
Oh no. Oh, he works from home though, so it's fine.
Yeah. The only reason I can't work from home is just because I get distracted so easily, and Like it's hard enough being at work and wishing I was at home, but if I'm actually at home, then I can't get work done.
Mm.
Like I just
Whereas my company has been transitioned to working from home since March, so I'm pretty used to it at this point.
oh yeah, well, that's good. Lots of time to get used to it. Okay, so now that we've had some introduction time, let's very organically move over onto our interview questions. What do you say, Scare Labs?
That is a perfectly seamless transition, and I approve.
That's one of the things I specialize in is segues, as you can tell.
It's just a shame you mean the ones that you ride and not the transitions.
Well, yeah, is there anything else? I didn't know there was any other type of segue. Uh, I better move on now, or I'll start talking about segues. Um, actually, before we go any further, I would have asked you this earlier, but I don't care. Um, should I be referring to you as Scare Labs or as Doctor Anastasia?
Dr. Anastasia, Dr. A, either work for me.
Okay, I'll go with Doctor Anastasia just because I love an excuse to say that name. Um,
Excellent.
all right, Doctor Anastasia. So, please tell us who you are and what do you do on YouTube?
Well, as Mr. Silverthread said, my name is Dr. Anastasia, and I am the head researcher at the Scare Lab, where we analyze horror video games currently. We may be moving on to other forms of horror media in the future, but currently we analyze horror video games and try and get to the core of why they're scary. And we do that kind of looking into like the historical and social context of the game and some of the gameplay mechanics and the graphics and the music and the things that all go into creating that horrifying experience and kind of trying to explain why it has such a profound effect on you as the player.
Yeah, and that's actually a really cool concept. Like, how'd you come up with that concept? That's I really love. Like, you don't have many videos, but the ones I've watched have been really awesome. They're always super engaging. How'd you come up with that?
Well, I did a degree in English language and English literature, and as part of that, um, I was heavily analysing novels and things like that, and looking into why the authors made the choices that they did, and what kind of impact that had on society at the time, and things like that. And having not been at university for almost 10 years now, I kind of weirdly miss it. And I was just thinking of what else I could apply that analytical knowledge to, because I miss doing that, and I miss. It sounds strange, but I miss like writing essays and things like that. It sounds ridiculous, but I do. And I was just thinking, what else could I apply that to? And it started with the Doki Doki Literature Club video, which I know you haven't watched because I know that you want to avoid spoilers for that game, so I will forgive you.
I really wanted to watch it, but I was just like I tried to convince myself. I was just like, "Do you care about spoilers? No, you can just watch it." And then I was like, "No, you do care about spoilers." So I had to force myself to not watch it.
That's fine, and I will refrain from spoilers now. But that was the video that started it, because as I was playing through it, and as obviously you know that there are twists, I just won't tell you what they are. But I was kind of thinking about how they came about and the different things that can apply to it, the different elements that go into that story. Because on the basis of it, it just looks like a Japanese dating simulator gone wrong. That's basically what it is. But there's so much more to it that you don't even realize until you really hold up that magnifying glass to it and go, oh, that's actually really clever that they did that. And then from there, I was just thinking, well, surely more games do that. So I've just been looking at as many horror games as I can get my hands on and trying to get to the core of why they're good, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, and like even like a lot of people have been talking about that game, and it definitely there's definitely a lot of people that have been like trying to push me to play it. So in
Oh, you should.
yeah, it's on my to play list. Along with my 10,000 other games. Although, honestly, the fact that I want to watch your videos so bad makes me want to. That is pushing it to the forefront of.
The quicker you play it, the quicker you can watch.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, is it supposed to be like a really long game, or?
It's really not. You can get it over and done with in a couple of hours, if that. Really, it depends how fast you read, because it is mostly a visual novel. So it depends how fast you read, really.
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that it was like a really really long game, but because visual novels tend to be on the longer side, or at least in my
No,
experience.
the first time I played Doki Doki Literature Club, I played it in one evening, and then had to sit back and just absorb everything that had just happened to me for quite some time. So that might be the bit that takes the longest. Is kind of processing what you've just witnessed.
The existential crisis that comes with every playing.
Most definitely, yes.
Well, hey, I don't mind existential crises. Well, now that I know I can finish it so fast. Maybe maybe I'll slip that into an evening.
I expect to see you in the comments of my video.
Absolutely. I mean, you'll know as soon as I finish the game because I'll be there. All right.
You could stream you playing the game. That could be fun for people to witness.
Oh, yeah. Or people could spoil it in the chat, and I'll yell at them.
Oh, just give me one of those blue wrenches and I will delete any spoilers I see. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely. That's like, all right, Anastasia, or I would like you to be there the entire time I play this game, and just to protect me from the troll public.
That's fine. I will more than happily do that for you. Also, hello to 242 Reads in the chat. I see you there.
242.
And Bird.
Bird, yeah, Bird dropped in.
Bird has arrived. We have a bird in chat. Don't eat him. Be nice.
Everyone, please be nice to the bird. Oh, apparently I'm at 250 subs now. Oh, awesome! Thanks for telling me, PA.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. All right.
I guess this is your 250 subscriber special.
I guess it is. Welcome
Happy to be here.
Welcome to my inadvertent 250 sub special, everybody. Which I, of course, knew about ahead of time.
This was all planned.
This was all planned, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone is under the impression that I am 100% on the ball and know everything I'm doing. So
of course.
And Lone Wolf.
You've never given us any indication otherwise.
All right, and Lone Wolf asks, "Do spiders eat birds?" And I will say that spiders eat whatever the heck they want. So yes.
If they're big enough, I guess they eat birds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
I really, considering I'm arachnophobic, I really shouldn't be thinking about this.
Arachnophobic. Well, what are you doing here if you're arachnophobic? I'm kidding. You're good. Silver never knows what he's doing. I mean, fair. A little rude, but I accept that. Did I lose you, Dr. Anastasia? Hello, everyone. I think I may have lost Dr. Anastasia there. Please hold for technical difficulties.
Hello, can you hear me again?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello. I have absolutely no idea what happened there. Everything just kind of crashed for a moment.
That's okay. For a second there, I was just like, either she's very silent or something happened.
Like I said, I'm arachnophobic. You just scared me that much. I just had to take a moment.
Yeah, that must have been what happened. Oh, yeah. Oh, see, people in the chat who actually knows stuff about spiders are talking about it. That's pretty cool.
Excellent. I will not read chat.
There's something... Bert says something about a Goliath bird eater. I don't know if that's an actual spider or if he's just saying words, but it sounds pretty cool.
I'm going to pretend he's just saying words just so it helps me sleep at night.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for bestowing your spider knowledge upon us. all of which, of
I thought
course.
I'd have enough of spiders with that story of Felion made me read on his channel.
I don't think I actually saw that one.
Oh, it was horrible.
Was that the one you did for his collab or his like?
It was, yeah.
Okay, I still haven't gotten around to watching that. I really should.
Yes, the story that I read, you'd probably love it. I made the mistake of not reading it before I hit record. So any disgust that you hear in my voice while I'm reading that is completely genuine.
I do that all the time, honestly. Like when I was getting my stories, um, really my method for getting my stories is looking at what the top posts are for No Sleep and just
Mm.
sending a template message saying, "Hey, can I read this?" And if they say yes, then I throw it in the list. And then usually the first time I read it is when I'm reading it out loud.
Awesome.
So which in one so it's like I'm experiencing the story at the same time as my audience.
I think I summoned Aphelion with mentioning his collab because he's just appeared in chat.
As well as
I
the
am
bogs.
the Aphelion summoner. I didn't realize I had this power.
It's probably because you guys have been talking for so long. Hi, Aphelion. Hi, the bogs. Every single time Boggs lands in a chat, he always puts those little eyeballs there. So you always know that he's there.
We know he's watching us.
He's always watching us. Now, so the videos that I did watch of yours, for me
Mm.
to organically take it back to the topic here. So yeah, the videos of yours that I have watched, your editing style has been very engaging, and it seems very professional. It actually kind of blew my mind, especially with
Oh,
the
thank
collab.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. So like the collab that me and you did together, like it looks like you're watching an actual professional documentary. It was blowing my mind the whole time. Uh, so what would you say influenced your editing style?
Um, that's kind of hard to explain, really, because I didn't really actually consider that my editing style was any good. I kind of just think, does this clip fit what I'm talking about? And if so, I put it there. I don't really have a set editing style, but I suppose you're always like inadvertently influenced by the things that you watch a lot. And a lot of the things that I watch, besides obviously the horror creators and the narrators that I've become friends with while being part of the community, I also watch a lot of kind of deep dive channels, so things like Nexpo and Rainbot and Nightmind and things like that. So I think my editing style has probably been heavily influenced by people like that because my content is a little bit more leaning to that style rather than horror narration. So I've kind of been a little bit more influenced by that. And also I kind of my real aim with the channel is almost like game theory but horror. So there's kind of little elements of that as well in there, although I'm nowhere near as good as Matt Pat or any of his editing team. But I am heavily influenced by that style as well.
Yeah, like I definitely I did get a game theory s type of vibe, except without the random little characters and animations popping up everywhere.
I do find they would be a little bit distracting for horror content. I feel they work perfectly for Matt Pat's content and the way that he narrates and things like that. But for my horror content, when I'm trying to keep it a little bit more serious, I think the animations and things jumping into the screen left, right, and center will be a little distracting. But I did try interjecting a few more jokes and things in our collab just because if I'm honest, I got bored editing it and decided to have some fun with it. So that's kind of what happened there.
Like, what can I toss in? Uh, yeah, that's it. And like the few little jokes I threw in there, like it's really just because like it just seemed to flow well, and I was just like, oh,
Yes.
I'll just leave that in, and I'll send it over to her and see what she thinks.
I definitely love those. Like the first time I listened to your audio after I received it, I actually laughed out loud. It was just brilliant. I was like, oh, that's definitely going in.
Oh, that needs to go in.
Most definitely, yes. Especially your comment at the end about the unsettling atmosphere, not unlike your lair. I was just that. Yep, that's That's staying in. I love it.
Perfect, love it. Yeah, I think honestly, I think your collab is the first video where I actually kind of stuck to a character, which obviously actually is completely consistent all the time, but uh, I kind of tried to lean into the spider character a little bit more in your video for the first time.
Mm.
So I,
Good. I'm glad my video could help with that.
you
It definitely suited it. I think our narration styles in that video definitely did complement each other quite well. It was really well done the way that you read everything, and it just matched the cadence that I try to have when I'm narrating so perfectly.
Yeah, and like your narration style, like it's very. Uh, I love listening to it just because it was so professional and like I said, it was like watching a real documentary. That's one of the things I love about it so much. Now, how did you come up with the
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say.
yeah, no worries at all. And uh, so how do you come up with what games you're going to do your videos on?
Um, I tend to find the games that are the most interesting to me and that have the most effect on either me or that I've seen a lot of people say this game is terrifying. If a lot of people say that a game has terrified them, my first thought is, okay, why? That's one of the reasons why I definitely had to do a Five Nights at Freddy's video, because
Mm.
while it personally didn't actually scare me, I did manage to get through the game and the jump scares were mostly just annoying than scary for me. I was just like, oh, for God's sake, I've died again. Um, so it didn't really bother me that much, but there's so many people that were terrified of that game. And obviously, I know he hams it up a little bit, but watching people like Markiplier play that game, you just kind of think, okay, this was clearly effective for a lot of people. I need to know why that is. And it was the same with Doki Doki Literature Club. That game was amazingly effective, and that one did actually have a very, very profound effect on me when I played it. And I was just fascinated by it, and I just thought that has to be where I start. I'm gonna have to start by looking at this game because it's phenomenal, and the effect it had was just mind blowing. So I just couldn't help myself really. And for the games that I've got coming up, I tend to go for the games that I've enjoyed and the games that have had an effect on me. And then, like I say, if I find one on the internet that people have said, "Oh, this is really scary," I'll give it a playthrough and see if I can think of anything to talk about. Because if it's just scary because it's just a bunch of standard jump scares, then I'm not really gonna get much of a video out of it. But if it's something new, like a new concept, or if there's like a deep backstory or something like that, something that I can actually pick apart, that's when the game goes on my list.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely makes sense there. And like when it comes to five, honestly, I'm glad we did that together because I was actually always wondering, just like why do people find this game so scary? um, although you took in a different direction, you actually tried to find out why, whereas I just kind of dismissed it. Because like you said, people seem to like ham it up a bit, and like when I open up Five Nights at Freddy's, well, I've never actually played it, but I've seen other people play it. It's just literally you're just kind of sitting in a room, and every now and then an animatronic pops up. Uh, I do
Yeah.
I do appreciate the lore with the game, though. That is one thing that I like. Even though I don't like the game, I do like the lore that's kind of
Mm.
popped up around it.
Yeah, I definitely liked the lore behind the first game and the backstory that we talked about in our video with the children and the murders that took place in the restaurant and things like that. My only problem with the lore is that it became too convoluted. Any game where, as you saw in the video, MatPat's playlist of FNAF videos is 45 videos long. That's too much lore for a jump scare game about animatronics, in my opinion. So I really liked the story behind the first game, but I think the more you look into it, the more convoluted it starts to get, and the less scary it becomes. That's why my video really only concentrated on the first game, because I think the more you look into it, the more the fear just dissipates.
Yeah. How many games are there at this point? Like I think I lost track at four.
7? I think there's 7 and there's a few spin-offs as well. I did say it in my video and now I've completely forgotten. I'll probably have to check the script. But
Go back and watch your own video again.
yeah, give me one moment. I'll just watch my own video.
Yeah, and do
Oh,
you?
here we go. Sorry, I literally just brought up the script on my phone. 7 main games as of the point that we recorded the video, 5 spin-off games, 14 books, and a film coming out at some point.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask that. It's like, isn't there a movie coming out?
There apparently is. Apparently, it's coming out some point this year, according to Scott Cawthorne. But somebody in the chat during our premiere yesterday, a friend of mine, Richard, did actually point out that there was a Five Nights at Freddy's film that had like mostly been made, and then they lost the Five Nights at Freddy's rights and had to scramble for what else they could turn it into, and it became a Banana Splits horror film.
Right. They did like he did mention that, and I didn't really know what he was talking about, but but that's good. I know
I've never seen it, and I'm not really planning on it, but
there is there was a trailer for a movie that's coming out soon that stars Nicolas Cage, and he goes
yes.
and yeah, like he goes into like a factory or something. He doesn't really talk that much, and he's being attacked by animatronics, and it looks very cheesy and very silly, horror-esque, and I forget the name of it, but it looks amazing.
What confuses me, the IMDb page on that film is so contradictory because the title of it is Willy's World, but in the actual description of the plot of the film, they call it Wally's World.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure which it is. The Bogs chiming in with Weekend at Wally's.
So they don't even know what it's called over there.
No, they just know it's Nicolas Cage and it's animatronics. That's all you need to know. Speaking of the Bogs in the chat, by the way, I noticed he said Silent Hill and Amnesia are the best scare games in his opinion. May or may not be working on those videos, Mr. Boggs.
Oh, see, there you go. There's a little sneak peek there. I won't lie. I was a little bit curious about like, what about Amnesia? That's another one of those big games.
It is. Amnesia was a huge one, and that is another one that actually did kind of scare me a little bit, just because of the complete powerlessness of it. Because you can move around, but you have to hide from the enemies. There's no gun. You can't shoot them. It's not like Resident Evil. You have to hide, and that does make it worse for me.
Yeah, like I did play that when I found that scary when I was younger. But at least with me, I find I get desensitized to horror games kind of quickly. So even if they initially scare me, I'll once I figure out what kills me and what doesn't, I usually stop being scared very fast. Which kind of sucks, but you know. But a lot of people don't have that problem, which is which I wish I was you, quite frankly. And I think I should tell everyone that yes, 242 was the one that told me about the Weekend at Wally's movie, which the Boggs was kind enough to point out the title of.
Ah.
Yeah. But I also heard that it wasn't supposed to talk that much in the movie, which is disappointing.
So I actually only found out about that movie yesterday when I had a call with Mr. Ophelion where we were discussing an upcoming collaboration, and we got completely off track and ended up talking about that film for some reason. So I've only known about it since yesterday.
Well, hey, whatever works. Is your collaboration going to be about that movie by any chance?
It is not, actually. I am actually going to keep my my lips sealed on what the collaboration with Ophelion is, as when I reached out to him about collaborating, I said to him, we'll do whatever game you want. This is your choice, and we'll just look at whatever game that you personally think scared you the most. And the idea that he came to me with was so genius. I can't believe I didn't think of it. But I am personally going to say, even though it's going up on my channel, I'm leaving it his place whether he wants people to know what we're working on ahead of time or not. I'd be more than happy to say it, but I am going to leave it up to Ophelia. And if he is still in the chat, if he wants to say whether or not I'm allowed to confirm what our collaboration is, I'll go ahead and do it. But until he gives his permission, I'm going to keep my lips sealed on that one.
Well, whatever it is, it's probably awesome.
I can guarantee just from what we've been working on so far, I'm very, very proud of this one. And it takes a lot for me to actually talk kindly about my own works because I'm very self-conscious. But this script that we're working on, I am very proud of it so far.
Yeah, and that's common, at least from what I've seen, like with other creators and all that. It seems like creators almost always hate their own work, unless they've been doing it for a long time.
Especially in my case, it's funny that I decided to start a YouTube channel that entirely uses my voice because I hate my voice. Yeah. But so many people in the comments saying that they love my accent and things like that just kind of made me go, oh, I guess I'll keep going then. But I personally, my own voice grates on me so hard. I hate it so much. When I'm editing, I have to completely disassociate and be like, that's not me talking. That's somebody else. You're just editing her voice.
I completely relate to that. Like, really, when I first started creating videos, I was just like, it's just because I like making videos and putting them out. I had no idea what I was really doing, but I just assumed like people would just kind of power through my voice and maybe the content itself would kind of keep them attracted. And the first person that told me that they liked my voice, I was like, really? Someone who doesn't know me likes my voice. But since then, I have gotten many comments about people liking my voice, and every single time it blows my mind. I'm like, really? You're not just lying? Like,
I only collaborate with people whose voices I enjoy, so.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Because their fantastic voices will distract my viewership from my own, so.
Yeah,
that's why I do it. You guys make me look good.
Whereas in my mind, it's just like her voice makes my voice look good. So it's always a back and forth. It's like, your voice is good. No, your voice is good.
It's like that Spider-Man meme of them pointing at each other. You're great. No, you're great.
Yeah, that could basically be a summary for the entire horror community.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Also, 242 Reads loves your voice. Just saying.
Oh, thanks. 242 Reads. She better. 242 Reads was actually the first internet friend that I'd made in, well, actually ever. I think she was like me and her met on, well, this is going to get too me-centric, but basically, quick summary, I met her at, well, because we were doing the same series, and we started talking to each other, and since then, I've met a lot of people, but yeah, and we dunk on each other a lot, so that's always fun. All right, now, so for the videos that you do, so for the videos that you make, you mentioned that you do a lot of research on your videos and or on the video games. Do you have any like particular type of process that you use to do that, or like how do you research those topics?
I typically go about it the same way I used to go about my university essay. So I'll kind of play through the game myself and kind of make notes on my observations as I'm playing through. And kind of think, what do I want to talk about? So in the case of the Five Nights at Freddy's video, I'll just use as an example. As I was playing through it, I was thinking things like, okay, so we can definitely obviously talk about the animatronics. That's the biggest thing about the game. We can also talk about the backstory a little bit, and we can also talk about the gameplay mechanics and things like that. And then it's making fleshing those notes out a little bit more, and then trying to find research papers or articles or blog posts or websites or whatever that back my point up. So if I say, in the case of what we were saying in your section about us not liking residing in places where a death has occurred or something like that, I actually didn't have to research that much on that point because the first thing that immediately came to my mind was the Grudge films, and the curse that's described at the start of the film, which you read excellently, by the way. So that was kind of where I went with that. But in cases of things like the animatronics, obviously the first thing I would think about is, okay, why are we scared of animatronics? Where did they come from? How did animatronics start? So then it's doing a Google Scholar search, more than likely, on the history of animatronics and finding a post that tells me where animatronics came from. So then I can say, oh, well, this website says that they were invented in 1400s and they were used by clockmakers, and they became known as the cuckoo clock in the 1700s. And then it was actually Walt Disney who made the first full-size animatronics. And so I put all of those points into the video, and then I can cite that source. So it is basically just like writing a university essay for me, where I make my points and then find evidence to back me up. And I mostly use like Google Scholar, or I do have an account on JSTOR and things like that to kind of find those scholarly articles to back my points up. So I'm not just saying this blog post over here that could be written by anybody says. I'm actually using proper research papers and things like that to kind of back up and evidence the points I'm trying to make.
Yeah, like and watching your videos, you can really, I don't know, you can really tell that you know what you're doing when it comes to research, because just because you bring up a lot of different points and then you support all of your points. There was, while I was watching it, there was never a point where you said something and I was like, citation needed. Like like you seem to actually have an idea of what you were talking about, which is really cool. I like that. Plus, you know, randomly seeing a video of Walt Disney like talking to like one of those little birds, like one of those mechanical birds. That was cool.
That was perfect for me. I found that clip as I was editing the video together. So I'd already written that point about how Walt Disney kind of pioneered the full-size animatronics to kind of get people to come into his parks. And then when I was looking for clips of Walt Disney's animatronics, I was watching that video and I just had to pause for a second because I saw that person talking to the bird, and I was like, is that actually Walt Disney? And then I immediately went and Google image searched pictures of Walt Disney to confirm it was. And then I was like, oh, perfect. That's going in the video. So that one was mostly just a happy accident. I didn't seek out a video of Walt Disney talking to an animatronic. I just happened to find it. So that was that. It was one of my favorite like pieces of B-roll, but it was so lucky that I found that clip.
Yeah, and how long does it usually take you to like actually make a video? Like does it like take like the full month between each video?
It can do. The actual once I've recorded it, the actual editing process doesn't take that long. So I can typically get a video out in maybe a week. So if it wasn't for all of the heavy research and script writing that goes into each of my videos, I could easily put up a video a week. But because of all of the research and the script writing and all of that goes into it, it takes me much longer. So yeah, it can take the full month typically to actually get it all together.
Yeah, and really, you can really tell just by watching the videos that it's a very careful process, or it definitely seems very like a lot of work's been put into it.
Yeah, I try not to just throw it together and hope it sticks, if that makes sense. I try and make sure that every point I'm making makes sense in the context of the video, and that it is something that the person watching the video would potentially go, oh, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I'm aiming for when I write the script. I'm aiming to kind of surprise people and make them think about it a little bit differently themselves as well.
Yeah, and you can tell, and your quality speaks for itself, because like you only have 3 videos, but you also have over 120 subscribers, and
I have no idea how that happened.
like it took, I think I had like 30 or 40 videos out before I hit 100, and even then I was just like, I tripped into 100 people. I don't know how that happened.
Tripped and fell and landed on 100 subscribers.
It's like, oh well, that's cool.
I was impressed. I think I hit Did I hit 69 before I'd even put the seventh guest video out? I remember I was jokingly begging on Twitter for 69 subscribers, legitimately just so I could screenshot it and post it with the caption, nice. And I think that actually happened before I released my second video. I have no idea how or why that happened, but it did.
Now, now while you're doing the research for your videos, like, do you have any like? Are there times where you just find it hard to like continue the research or anything like that? Like, is there anything you do to like help get you in the mood to research and write about this stuff?
Um, Typically when I'm listening, sorry, when I'm reading the articles and things to kind of put into my videos, I always have some kind of background noise happening. So in most cases, it's actually the videos of my fellow horror creators. So I'll put one of your videos on in the background to keep me company, or I'll throw a Fellion video or a Your Ex video, whatever. I'll put a video from one of my fellow creators on, or depending if I'm in the mood, I'll go on Twitch and maybe find a Twitch streamer that seems like they've got a nice chill vibe going on. So it's not just, oh my god, this game is epic. It's more chilled and subdued, and it's just something to keep me company while I work. And that kind of keeps me into it, because if I start losing control or losing my focus on the actual article, I can concentrate on whatever video I've got on or whatever streamer I've got on for a few minutes and have a bit of a break and then get right back to it. So it's almost like I'm never really alone. I've always got either a Twitch streamer or a fellow creator in the room with me, keeping me sane while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. Like, I'm all like when I'm not like doing YouTube stuff, I'm almost always listening to something on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like I tend to hop between things that I listen to. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of r slash, just because I I like stories of angry parents. What can I say?
The Insane Parents subreddit is glorious, as is Entitled Parents. But my favorite is the Am I the A-hole? I won't say the full thing because I don't know what the thing on swearing is on your channel. But
I don't care.
the Am I the A-hole? Okay, the Am I the Asshole subreddit it's one of my favorites. I love that subreddit so much.
Yeah, like just some of the stuff just some of the stories that you hear there, you're like, wow, like either the person who posted that is making stuff up or people are legit crazy.
Yes, exactly. A lot of those subreddits, unfortunately, can delve into an exercise in creative writing, but you can sometimes tell when they have just faked it. But some of them, especially when they're able to like provide proof of it, you. I always think you can never underestimate how insane the human race can be sometimes, and those subreddits, if all of those stories are true, they exemplify the insanity of the human race quite well.
Yeah, it's like whenever you hear a story about someone doing something incredibly stupid, you're like, wow, that is the stupidest thing I ever heard, and you think that it'll never be topped, but it always is.
And it's usually topped in the next week as well.
Yeah, it doesn't even take that long. It's just like how do people keep topping themselves? Like what's going on with the world?
It's mental.
And the Boggs in the chat says, now a person can rent intimacy bots in Japan, which
Oh,
which I did not know, and I'm wondering why I still don't live in Japan.
science has gone too far. Also, now haven't you been able to do that for years? The blogs. Not that I would know that for any reason, but I'm fairly certain that you've been able to do that for a while, because I know that you do have the love hotels in Japan that you can book a hotel room for an hour for obvious reasons. But I think there is actually ones where you can book a hotel room and rent a doll to spend the evening with as well.
That just seems so weird to me. Like just
Yeah.
like going to a hostess and or being like, yes, I would like this room, and this is the doll I would like to have sex with. Thank you very much. It just seems awkward, but
Yeah, it does seem very bizarre, doesn't it? Like, I can't imagine doing that.
But I imagine that they must be making some money over there, otherwise it wouldn't still exist.
Exactly, they'd be closed down if they weren't making any money, wouldn't they?
All right, so yoinking us back to the topic here.
And away from sex bots. Thanks, the bogs.
Thanks the box talking about sex box over here. Um, all right, so now, now, what video game that you've played in your life? What game has scared you the most, and why?
Okay. Um, a few different ones throughout different times in my life, which is a really weird answer, but I can explain. So, so when I was a kid, the one that scared me the most, I kind of did a video on it, but almost not. It wasn't The Seventh Guest; it was actually its sequel, 11th Hour. That really, really got to me when I was younger, just because in The Seventh Guest, obviously, they use a lot of full motion video, so they've got actual actors in the game as the ghosts throughout the house as you're playing it. But in the sequel, The 11th Hour, they, as well as the full motion video, they actually had full filmed cutscenes. So it was almost like watching a film within the game. And there was a scene that really always stuck with me, and I always hated it, where the characters kind of went into the garden of the mansion, and there was a severed head in place of where a boulder should have been. And for some reason, that always terrified me as a kid. Like when I played that game, I had to leave the room because when I knew that scene was coming, and then I would come back and okay, it's over now. I can keep playing, and that always stuck with me. But obviously, those games stuck with me for a very long time anyway, just because the voice of that main character, Henry Stauff, when you're a kid and you're playing that game, his voice just really sticks in your brain and just does something to you. It just terrifies you in a way you can't really explain.
Yeah, it
But
hits you in a
beyond
very
being,
deep way.
it really does. Yeah, it's in my video. I kind of likened it to Vincent Price in a way, and it has a very similar effect in that it just that voice is just horror for me. That's when I think of horror voices, I think of Robert Hershbecker's Henry Stauff, and I think of Vincent Price. They're just quintessential horror voices to me. Slightly more recently, though, one of the games that did actually really get to me when I first played it was we here in the UK and Europe, we know it as Project Zero. In Japan, it was released as Zero, but you guys in America probably know it more as Fatal Frame.
Yes, I have not. I won't lie. I haven't played it, but but I've seen a lot about it, and it's one. It's one of those games. It's on my to play list, it looks. But just looking at it, it looks amazing. Quite frankly,
It really is. It might be a little bit dated now, but because I played it on the original Xbox, and I don't even mean the Xbox 360. I mean the Xbox. So it might be a little bit dated now, but it was very, very scary at the time. I remember I once tried to convince a friend of mine to play it with me, and I just gave her the controller and went, "It's fine, you're fine, just play through it." And she walked into the house for the first time, and she was going down the corridor, and one of the ghosts just walked in front of her. Like, it didn't even attack or anything, it just walked in front of the corridor, and she screamed and threw the controller at me. So
that's almost cruel.
yeah, that game's pretty effective, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think, well, based on what I've seen, it looks like it's basically based on jump scares, is what it seems like.
It
Because
kind
you're
of
walking
is,
around with a camera.
yeah, it kind of is, but isn't at the same time. It's really odd. So there are the occasional jump scares, but I think there's a lot of sound design that goes into it as well that isn't just jump scares. So in the first Fatal Frame game, there is one of the ghosts comes at you. I think the actual name of the ghost in the game is Broken Neck, and she literally comes at you backwards, and her head is like upside down. It's really hard to explain, but when I do eventually release my video on it, I will be showing a Broken Neck. That ghost is horrifying. But whenever that ghost appears, there's a certain drum beat that starts playing in the background.
Oh,
So then you know that whenever you're walking around that house, you're investigating, you're trying to figure out where to go. The minute you hear that drum beat, you know that Broken Neck is behind you. It's not even a jump scare. It's just you hear that drum beat and you go, "Oh God, she's here again, isn't she?" And that it's little things like that. And there's another one, the blinded ghost, that you will just hear screaming because she in the game her eyes were jammed out as part of a ritual. She had a mask with spikes in the eye sockets jammed into her head as part of a ritual, and she kind of wanders around the house with her arms flailing out in front of her, screaming, "My eyes, my eyes!" So, when you hear that, she's nearby as well. So it's just little elements of sound design. It isn't just entirely jump scares, it's little things like that that just send a chill down you as you're playing it. I've never dreaded a drum beat before in my life before I played that game.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to play that one day. Eventually, maybe someday.
Definitely do.
I
It
definitely
is
will.
worth it. I will say the gameplay mechanics of the first game, I would say, don't really hold up. I will say that you will go up and down a ladder 3 times before you start getting sick of it.
Oh no.
It's the mechanics are very, very annoying. I actually think Fatal Frame 2 would be better for you to play rather than Fatal Frame 1. The story doesn't continue on, so you don't need to have played number 1 to play number 2. And the
Oh, okay.
gameplay mechanics of number 2 are a little bit more refined and a little bit cleaner. So I would definitely recommend starting with number 2, and then if you buy into it, if you really enjoy the lore of it like I do, maybe go back to 1 if you think you can handle the annoying mechanics. But if you only play one Fatal Frame game and then never touch the franchise again, make it 2.
Okay. I'll just take some notes here. Start with Fatal Frame 2.
Yes. It's called Crimson Butterfly.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
No.
No, it is not.
Not when you find out what the Crimson Butterflies are. No, it isn't.
I'll consider that a warning.
Oh, hello to Mr. Detlef Pan here in the comments. Yes, your streams are some of the ones I put on while I'm editing as well. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what do I have here? TikTok tick. So the next question is, what is your favorite thing in horror and why? In the horror genre.
Oof. Ooh. I'm actually really big on ghosts in the horror genre, so things like cryptids and things like that are fun, but the biggest thing that gets me interested in something is ghosts. So whether it's a game or a movie or even a book, if there's a supernatural element to it, that's kind of what draws me in. So some of my favorite horror movies are things like the original Japanese Ring or The Grudge or the original One Miss Call because the American remake was trash. Or I think there's a Korean one called Phone as well, which is an excellent film. And they're all supernatural, ghost-based films. And they're the ones that kind of keep my attention most. Just because for me, I find ghosts a little bit more realistic than maybe some of the other elements, because I know that not everybody believes in ghosts. But to me, that's one of those things that there's no proof for or against. It could be real, we just might not know it. Just because we've not had an experience doesn't mean they don't exist. So the concept of ghosts has always fascinated me, and those are the movies that kind of stick with me. Especially like the Japanese and Korean ones, because they rely a lot less on jump scares than American horror movies, and they're a lot more psychological. So they're the kind of films where as you're watching them, you might not even find it that scary, but you can guarantee when you wake up at 3 a.m. To go to the bathroom, you're going to be scared that there's a ghost in your hallway. They kind of get to you like that, and that's what I really love about them. It's the ones that kind of stick with you rather than just being like a slasher film like the Saw series or something like that. To me, they're just gore porn, basically, is how I like to think of them. It's not really a horror film, it's just you watch it just to see what creative way a character is going to die next. And it's the same with Final Destination. You just want to see all the creative deaths in that film. You're not watching it to be scared. Whereas with the Japanese and the Korean horror films, you're watching them to be scared.
Yeah, that's how I felt watching Final Destination. Like,
Mm.
I never considered it scary. It was just like, so what are the people directing this film gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
how in what way is this person gonna die? And they would always impress. And it's like, hey, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's impressive, and they are good films, but they're not scary by any stretch of the imagination to me. The only time I would consider myself being a little bit scared of one of those films is if I happen to be in a similar situation. So in the case of like, I think was it one or two where there was the truck crash on the highway and
That's the
all of
exact
the
one I was
logs.
thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I've been driving behind a truck full of logs, my brain will start going, "You've seen Final Destination. Get out from behind this truck."
Yeah.
That's the only time it's ever scared of. It's ever scares me when I'm actually watching it. It doesn't bother me.
I agree. That's like, I think it's the same for a lot of people. Like as soon as you
Yeah.
drive behind, like if you're driving something behind things that in the back that aren't attached all that well, or if it's a big truck with logs, you're always like,
Yeah.
this is going to impale me. So I'm gonna go get ahead of this truck right now.
And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a slight flashback whenever I got on a roller coaster as well.
I almost like that's one thing I liked about it. They kind of play off of things that people already are kind of scared of, and they're just like, let's actually
Yeah.
put that in a movie.
Let's make it worse.
let's give them an actual visual to be scared of for the rest of their lives. Oh, hey, Miss Creepy Tales.
Hey, Miss Creepy Tales.
Hey,
Nice
hey,
to
hey.
see you.
And your Rex says something there. Foreign films are so much better. Old Boy remains one of my favorites. It has truly horrifying plot.
Have Mr. Your Ex, have you seen the full Vengeance trilogy, or have you only watched Old Boy? I need to know the answer to that.
No pressure, X.
There is a trilogy. I'm not sure if you were aware of that. Have you seen those?
No, I've never even heard of the series, but
There's 3 films. Old Boy is the most famous and the most well received and award winning and excellent film. But there is actually a trilogy. I think there's Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, and then Lady Vengeance. So yeah, there is a full trilogy, but a lot of people have only heard of Old Boy. And to be fair, Old Boy is the best of the 3, and it is an absolutely stunning film. But not that many people know that it's actually part of a series.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in general, like I do tend to find foreign films scarier than at least a lot of the Americanized films that I've seen.
Definitely.
It might just be because the culture is a bit different, and just because of the difference in culture, they emphasize different things. But I always find that like the designs of the characters and just the things that they emphasize, like you said earlier, they're a lot more psychologically scary, and I tend to prefer psychological scares myself.
Yeah.
Like, and I kind of share that with you. Ghosts are like my favorite type of story. Unfortunately, I'm in the camp that I don't really believe in anything supernatural or anything like that.
Yeah.
However, horror is still like one of my favorite things to interact with.
Yeah.
Just because I usually find the lore of horror just very very fascinating. And horror is it's basically like a playground where people express their deepest, darkest fears, and they say, well, what if this happened or what if that happened, and it kind of reveals how people are on a deeper, more visceral level, on a level that people aren't usually comfortable with admitting. And
exactly, yeah.
And that's why I like horror, even though I don't really believe in that stuff.
Yeah.
Ghost stories I also find are very they're usually very emotional.
Yes.
Just like with Ju-on, like you mentioned earlier, like that entire thing is about a very angry ghost, or a curse, I guess, but creates ghosts.
Yeah, I think one of the things about the Ju-on films is a lot of people think of them as a little bit gimmicky, especially with like the way that the main ghost kind of like crawls around and the noise that she makes, which I would emulate, but I probably will do it wrong, so I'm not gonna bother our listeners' ears with that. But that noise that she makes, yes, that one. Yeah, so that noise that she makes and the way that she crawls, a lot of people consider it quite gimmicky. But one of the things that I do love about the lore of horror, as you said, is knowing why that happens. So the reason why she's crawling around is because when she was murdered, most of her bones were broken. And the reason why she makes that noise is because her murderer crushed her lungs. So that's the only noise that she can actually physically make. That's why that noise happens.
Like
And that's fascinating to me.
details like that are always amazing because
Mm,
like even if it was just there as just for the sake of being scary, it would still be cool. But then they actually add those background details, and you're just like, wow.
yeah.
If anything, it makes it, well, I don't know about scarier, but it definitely makes it a lot more interesting. The fact that they have that
Yeah,
explanation.
exactly. Yeah, and the thing with the little boy in the grudge making the cat noises as well, it's because he was locked in the cupboard with his cat by his dad. So I think the idea of it is almost as if the two spirits of the boy and the cat have kind of merged, and that's why the boy's making cat noises. But they theoretically will have died together in that closet when they were locked in. So again, it could just be creepy young boy meowing because it's creepy, but no, there's actually a lore explanation for it, and that's what I really, really love about them.
Yeah, it's really really cool. So now, have you ever had any scary supernatural encounter that you'd be willing to share with us or anything like that?
I have actually. The only two that come to mind, funnily enough, are already on a Miss Creepy Tales collab. The
Oh,
most recent collaboration we did with the lovely Miss Creepy Tales, both the story I read about cohabiting with a ghost girl and the story that Aphelion read about the cult activity, they were both actually things that happened to me, experiences from my life, which was very fun to get immortalized in those videos.
that's really cool. Like
Yeah.
uh, I have had supernatural experiences. I don't actually believe they're supernatural,
Mm.
but I've had very I've
Air quotes supernatural.
so unexplained things that have happened to me that I'm like that was
Yes.
scary as hell, and and they're not super. They don't have like super long stories associated with them.
Mm.
Unfortunately, because maybe I could write some cool stories, but the only super scary thing that's happened to me is basically I was sitting in a car in an empty parking lot,
Mm.
and I wasn't doing anything elegant. I was eating McDonald's. Um,
We've all been there. It's fine.
well, but they're sitting alone in a parking lot eating McDonald's, and out of nowhere, I heard a voice in the car, like a man, like right by my ear. It sounded like he was in the car, like literally scream as loud as he could in my ear,
Oh.
and scared the shit out of me. It phased me very slightly. I stopped eating, um, and and I looked around and there was no one around me. Like I said, big empty parking lot. Wasn't even any other cars, and I was just like, well, that is the weirdest audio hallucination I've ever had.
Any experience that makes you put down the Big Mac even for a second is definitely noteworthy.
Exactly. And then I was just like, well, I'm probably going to be scarred for the next 5 minutes. And then I just went back to eating.
Yeah, with me, the experiences that I've had were actually witnessed by other people as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is one of those things where I can't just brush it off as me imagining things. So I'll kind of give just a little brief rundown of each one, the short version. But if you want to hear the full reading, definitely check out the Miss Creepy Tales collab, which I think you were a part of as well, weren't you?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Excellent. So we can definitely plug that collab. Definitely check that out. And both, as I said, both my story and Ophelion's story were both things that happened to me. So the one that Ophelion read out, the cult activity, the basics of it is me and my mother and her partner were kind of driving around late at night one time. We just used to take random drives because we just found it relaxing. And we started seeing some lights off in the distance a little bit. And we were thinking, oh, I wonder what that is. And we kind of drove closer to it. And as we got closer, we realized it was a group of people in inflatable suits with glowing orbs on their heads, all dancing around what appeared to be a giant inflatable glowing orb in the center. And we were just going, what the hell is happening? And then like other creepy things happened. Like they at one point they carried somebody towards the orb, and we never saw what happened to that person, so we don't know whether they were consumed by the orb or what might have happened. But as soon as they noticed that we were there, they started approaching us kind of menacingly. It wasn't a like welcome to the show kind of thing, it was a why are you here kind of vibe. So we just kind of reversed slowly, turned around and left. But as we were leaving, I looked out of the rearview mirror and they were running after us.
Well, that's petrifying.
Yeah, exactly. That is literally the most terrifying thing. And like I say, if it wasn't for the fact that that happened to me, my mother, and her partner, I'd just be brushing that off like, yeah, you dreamed that. But before I wrote up that story to send it to Ophelion for him to read out, I rang my mum and said, okay, remember that thing we drove upon that one time? Just tell me how you remember that happened. And then everything that she said matched up what I'd already written down. it was madness. Seriously, to this day we've never figured out what we drove upon, but it was so bizarre.
Sounds like a Sweet 16 that just got a little bit too out of hand.
Yeah, it was the 16-year-old they were putting into the orb.
Yeah, they were just it was just a birthday party. That's what it was.
Yeah, just an outdoor birthday party that looked a bit like a cult that just happened to be happening in midsummer.
Whatever it was, I'm sure there was a perfectly logical explanation. Well, no, there's no logical explanation for that. Like, even if it's not supernatural, it's like there is no logical explanation for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just weird. The other one that I read as part of that story was basically we are convinced that the house that I grew up in, that my mum lived in until not too recently, we're convinced it was haunted by a little girl. She would just troll us and just hide things and stuff like that. Like we'd be looking for something, and we were the one that we were looking for a videotape because we'd taped. I think it was like a Michael Jackson concert or something that we decided we wanted to rewatch, and we were looking everywhere for this videotape, couldn't find it. Like 2 weeks later, we opened a drawer that we keep our remote controls in, so a drawer that we go in every single day. We opened that drawer and the tape was there on top of everything else, and we were just going, what? that was not there. But then my mum actually saw the little girl as well, and she had like a 5 badge on, like a happy birthday, you're 5 kind of badge on her. And then my niece recently actually said to me, oh, who was that little girl we used to play with? And I was like, what little girl? What are you talking about? And she was like, oh, we used to play catch with her in the front garden. She could never catch the ball, and we always thought it was funny. And I was like, Kira, you used to throw the ball into midair. What are you talking about? In my memory, she would throw the ball off to the side intentionally so that I couldn't catch it. And that was what she found was funny. It was making me run around trying to catch the ball. But in her head, she was throwing it at a little girl that couldn't catch.
Well, that is petrifying a little bit.
Yeah,
like, oh.
And then more recently, my young nephew, who is from Thailand and barely speaks any English and has not heard like many English names in his life, was talking to himself in a bedroom in that house. And when my mother said to him, "Who are you talking to?" this Thai child's response was Debbie.
Oh God.
Exactly. This is just it. There's a little girl in that house, and I'm glad we don't live there anymore.
Tell Debbie to pay rent.
She's lived there longer than we have. We should pay her rent, really, shouldn't we?
That's a good point. Or maybe she is the one you're paying rent to. I don't know. Maybe she just has an alias. All right, Dr. Anastasia. So, what are your goals for your channel?
I'll be perfectly honest. I don't actually have any, which sounds silly, but Yeah, I mostly just do it for fun. I always said even if I didn't have any viewers, I enjoy making the videos and I enjoy putting them out there. Um, Even if I like don't get any more subscribers than I currently have, as long as the subscribers that I do have are enjoying the content and it makes them happy or makes them interested, that's all I care about. If I never get to is it 1,000 subscribers or something, we need to be able to monetize something silly like that. Like,
Yeah,
even if I never do that, yeah,
1,000
I'm not
subs
here
and
to make
4,000
money
watch
from it.
hours.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here for fun. I'm here to put out content that people enjoy, whether that's a small number of people or a large number of people doesn't matter to me, as long as there's people enjoying it. And if I never make a penny off it, so be it, as long as I'm making people happy. That's all I really care about.
That's cool. That's very altruistic of you. And if when I've been asked that question, like I don't really have any specific goals. I just know I do want to eventually make money, and
Mm,
and if I'm lucky, then I will be able to stop working and just keep doing
yeah,
YouTube as my job because I hate
yeah,
work, but I don't hate YouTube. So
yeah.
if I could
I
eventually
mean,
just do YouTube, that would be
yeah,
amazing. I don't.
that's one of those things where if it did somehow get to that point, like if if one of my videos did blow up and I ended up with millions of subscribers and I was able to actually make a living from it, that would be excellent. And obviously, I wouldn't turn up my nose at that. That would be amazing if I could do that. But I'm not aiming for that, if that makes sense. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing YouTube to get famous. I'm not doing it for the clout. I'm doing it because I enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And and even if you were doing it for specifically to try and get money, I don't think you should do it if you don't enjoy it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like if you don't enjoy the process, you're not really going to get far when it comes to YouTube anyway.
Mm,
Unless you have someone telling you
exactly.
what to do all the time, which most of us don't.
Exactly. Yeah. We mostly just run our channels ourselves, and that we're happy with it that way.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
only person I have bullying me is my other half that I live with, who will poke me and be like, "Oi, aren't you supposed to be working on a video?"
I wonder what that's like. My partner doesn't really know anything I'm doing when it comes to my YouTube channel, and my partner she likes writing she likes writing horror stuff herself, and
Oh,
she refuses to watch any of my videos because she doesn't want her ideas influenced by other horror stories.
that makes sense. Yeah, she wouldn't
So
want to inadvertently steal something from one of them. That can happen, can't it?
yeah, she's very purist when it comes to that. So like she doesn't even read other horror stories. She doesn't even
Mm,
read them like or at least she reads like big stories like published
mm,
stories and stuff. But she won't go to
yeah.
like No Sleep or anything like that.
Mm. She watched Arcolab though and asked you where the hell you came up with that, didn't she?
Uh,
Or was it just
oh yeah,
because
yeah,
of
yeah. What what happened was I sent it to her because I was just like, this isn't a horror story. This is a video game that's being analyzed, and I read a script for it. So what? So you can watch this. You're allowed to watch this. And what she read the title of it, it was like Five Nights at Freddy's. Why is it scary? And her first message back to me over Discord was just like, when have you ever thought about why Five Nights at Freddy's was scary? Because she knows I don't like the game. And I was just, what's her message was basically just like, when have you ever like had any sort of critical thought about that game ever? And I was just like, and I was just like, well, fortunately, I was not the one doing the critical thinking. I was just reading the script. And then she was
But you read it fantastically.
and then she was like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense." And I was just like, "Thanks, sweetie."
I love your wife. Please tell her I love her.
I I actually told her that, and she was just and she got all blushy. It's like she
Oh,
even when people she doesn't talk to compliment her in any way, she gets all blushy.
I'd love to read some of her stories. Does she publish or does she just write for fun?
She doesn't publish at all. She just writes for herself. Um,
Oh,
yeah. So, and I'm trying to get her to allow me to publish some stories, but or read some of her stories. But hopefully, I'll be able to convince her because she's always been very she's very morbid and very creative, and she has been her whole life. And just reading some of the stuff that she's written, like I've been with her since we've been in high school, and reading even back then, reading some of her stuff, I'm just like, wow, that's pretty morbid. I want to share I want to share your morbidity with the world, um, but trying to convince her to allow me to go public with that is it's a bit of a chore, but I'm working on it.
It's understandable she'd be a little bit hesitant, though, isn't it? Your first creative output is always a little. With the first time you actually put it out into the world is always nerve-wracking. So I can understand why she's a little bit wary.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. In her case, she actually is really concerned about people stealing her stories and making money off of them.
Yeah,
So for that reason, she doesn't want to post anything on No Sleep because people can just
yeah,
really they can just take it, and
yeah,
unless you just happen to stumble upon it yourself, then you're not usually going to know.
yeah.
But
Or if sometimes someone will like alert you to it, but other than that, there's no way of knowing.
yeah, because she she is very aware that she's good at writing, so but she has not been able to monetize it at all. But hopefully, like, she's actually been writing a lot more lately, and hopefully she'll actually be able to, like, kind of compile it in a publishable format, and we can
Yeah,
make and she
like a
can make
short
some money.
story collection would be awesome if she self-published something like that.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool.
I'd
Now,
buy
well, I'll keep everyone up to date if that ever happens.
it.
Now, can you discuss any future projects you have that you're excited about?
Yeah, definitely. So, as I said earlier, I think the next video that I'm going to put up is going to be the collaboration with Aphelium. And then after that, I'm working on a Fatal Frame one as well. But the biggest project I've kind of got coming up as well is the huge collaboration I have, the What Game Scares the Scarers collaboration, where I've asked horror narrators and horror creators to kind of tell me what video game scared them the most and why. And then I'm just going to compile those all together to kind of show the world what these people who are known for scaring their audiences, what scares them, what makes them tick. And obviously with it being video game centric because that's what my channel is about. But it's really interesting just to see these people who are so used to reading these horrible stories actually seeing what games got to them and what made them kind of recoil in fear. It's fascinating. I've already had a couple of submissions for that. A couple of audio recordings have been sent to me already, and they are absolutely fantastic. And I just cannot wait for that video to go out. It's going to be amazing once I've got all of the recordings together for that.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well, and I I will get my recording to you as soon as I can.
Good. I forget which video. Sorry, which game are you discussing as part of that?
Eternal Darkness.
Oh, of course, yes.
Now, that's not even a game I played all the way through. I just know that throughout my life, that's usually the game I think about when I think what's scared me, because it's really the only one. It's the only game that I've ever been so scared of that I just stopped playing and never played it.
Wow.
That being said, I was younger at the time. I could probably play it now, but still, it's had a very it's been very impactful on my life. So I'm looking forward to writing something up and sending that through to you, and then just listening to the whole thing, because it seems like a very interesting subject to hear from my other horror narrators about.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating just hearing what games stuck with everybody else. Especially in the one that I'm actually going to be discussing is one that got me more recently, which is going to be a bit weird for me because most of the games that scared me so far in the past that I almost don't remember why they were scary. But the game that kind of got to me more recently that I just have to talk about is Darkwood. I don't know if you've ever played it or ever seen anybody play it, but it is just terrifying, that game. When you first play it through, it's a top down horror game, and it's a survival horror. So it's kind of, if you've ever played Don't Starve, it's kind of like that, but specifically horror. And you don't know what creatures are coming after you. You don't. The whole point is you have to survive the night, and you have to stay in this one house at night. Because if you go outside of it, you are just going to die. Just point blank, you will die. There is nothing you can do about it. And when you're in the house, you've got to like barricade up the windows and block the doors. And if anything comes in, you've got to attack it and things like that. But there's awful little events that can happen. So at one point I was thinking, oh, I've got this down. I'm fine. I've got all my windows boarded up. I've got a bear trap in front of every window. If anything comes in, they're going to get caught in the bear trap, and then I can finish the job with my axe. I'm sorted. And then a banshee came in and just completely tore me apart.
Oh no.
And I was like, wait, what? And at one point as well, my lights just turned out, and before I had a chance to get a flare out or do anything, I just got torn apart by ghosts. And I didn't know that could happen. So it's horrifying. Just as you're playing it throughout the daytime of the game, it's just kind of collect stuff, kill some enemies if you find them, try and progress. And then at night, when you're in that house, you're just forced to stand and wait for morning and just hope nothing gets you. And the different events that happen and the different creatures that can get you are just some of the worst things I've experienced in video games for a very long time. There's a creature called a human spider that I will let you figure out what that is, and it's not you.
Are you sure?
It's worse than you, because it's a human with 8 limbs. And it's horrible. And one of those broke into my house, and I panicked. I didn't know what to do.
What can you do, really?
Hit it with an axe and hope it goes down is basically the game plan I had. At one point, I tried to throw a Molotov cocktail at it and accidentally burned myself to death. That game is horrifying.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look at it on Steam here. Like, I won't lie, like I never actually heard the game until you mentioned it recently, and I never heard of it. But looking at it on here, I love the art style. It looks terrifying.
The art style is fantastic, because the whole game is mostly top down. But there's certain characters that you can interact with that have got full profiles, so kind of like your design that you've got on the screen here, your Silver Threads character, they've got full profiles fleshed out, and some of those are just disturbing to look at. There's one character called the Chicken Lady who doesn't sound like she'd be that horrifying, but there's just something unsettling about that picture when it comes up when you're talking to her that I just can't explain. It's almost like all of the characters, there's just something so visceral and unnerving about each one of them. It's fantastically done. The artwork is just superb. As well as talking about it in that upcoming collaboration, I definitely intend on doing a full-length video on it as well. Just because there's so many different aspects to it that I can't not talk about it. I have to talk about it. I don't think I can rest until I've done that video.
Yeah, I won't lie. I haven't been more excited to play video games for in a while. Honestly, like I haven't I do love games. I do well. I definitely consider myself a gamer, even though I don't game that much anymore. The only reason I don't is because all my spare time is pretty much YouTube nowadays.
Yeah.
But having you talk about this, it's like, man, I'm missing out. I got to get back to doing video game stuff. And now I'm looking at Darkwood, and I'm just like, I gotta play Darkwood now as well on top of it.
You definitely do. In the chat, we have Mr. Detlove Pan is still here. As I said, he's one of the streamers that I have been watching recently on Twitch, and the reason why I actually found him was because I just went into the Darkwood section on Twitch and just looked at who was playing Darkwood, and I found Mr. Detlove Pan, and his playthrough, it was fascinating, because he was playing it slightly different to me as well. So one of the interesting things about Darkwood is there's multiple endings and there's multiple ways that you can play it, and you have to kind of suffer the consequences of those actions. And there's certain things that you can do that at the time you're doing it, it seems nice, like you're helping somebody, you're kind of aiding somebody else in escaping from this horrible situation. And then later on, you'll find out what happened to them and you'll go, oh, oh no, I caused that. And it's like the game is teaching you that even if you do something nice, the wood will win. There is nothing you can do about it. The wood will win. It's terrifying because you never know whether what you're doing is the right thing to do. And you don't know what the consequences of your actions are going to be. And the way that the choices that Detlef Pan made in his playthrough were completely different to mine. So it was fascinating to see how it differed and what would happen to him. He's just said Wolfman is interesting if you help the musician. That's definitely true.
Well, one more game for me to throw on the playlist. Although, who knows? Maybe I actually will play that one because it does look pretty good.
It is an excellent game. So I've just seen in the chat that MJ Skinner said that something that scared them as a child wasn't a movie or a game, but the music video for Michael Jackson's Thriller. I will agree with you on that. The full music video didn't scare me. I actually loved most of the music video, but the short film that went along with it, specifically the scene where he turns into a werewolf, horrified me when I was younger. Yeah, and I was a huge Michael Jackson fan. My first word as a child wasn't mum or dad; it was Jackson.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and yeah, that music video horrified me as well when I was younger.
I saw that in the chat too. I was actually going to make a comment as well. I'm not. The video did kind of spook me when I was younger, but it never like terrified me. But my younger brother, he is petrified of Michael Jackson's Thriller still, to the point where whenever the song comes on, he demands that we turn it off because he's that scared of the music video.
Oh.
He was also 7 at the time, but still
that makes sense.
But still, I just thought it was, even though he's 7, I still think it's really cool that even just a song can scare someone because it reminds them of what the video is like. And
that kind of loops us back around to Vincent Price as well, doesn't it? Because he did the quote unquote rap in that song was Mr. Vincent Price as well.
Yeah, and to be fair, that scene where he turns into a werewolf is kind of terrifying. Well, especially for back then because it was more realistic. Nowadays it's kind of dated, but even if it's dated, it's still kind of scary just because of.
But then he somehow managed to top that, because if you've seen the full length thing of Ghosts, Michael Jackson's Ghosts as well, there's a scene right at the end of that where he turns into this giant, horrifying monster. And that is just as terrifying as the werewolf was. And that's years later. He somehow managed to top how horrifying the werewolf was with how horrifying he is in that video. I don't know how they did it. I think it might be something to do with the fact that Ghost was technically written by Stephen King. But yeah, it's just as bad. If you haven't seen that, I definitely recommend the full short film of Michael Jackson's Ghosts. If only because the main character, who the angry man who's trying to drive Mr. Jackson out of the local town, that's actually Michael Jackson in a fat suit.
Oh yeah.
Which is just amazing.
That is amazing, yeah. Well, there's one more thing that I gotta check out. I actually have like a little list of things that I've been typing down throughout the process here. It's like, gotta check this out.
I am so sorry.
No, not at all. In fact, that's a short video. So I'll probably guaranteed I'll watch Michael Jackson Ghosts. All right. So for our final question here, do you have any advice for people who want to get started on YouTube if they haven't already?
The only advice I can really give is just do it. That's what I did. So when I first started working on the Doki Doki Literature Club video, it was taking me quite some time because there was that voice in the back of my head that was just saying to me, no one's going to watch it. Even when you do, there's no point uploading it. No one's going to watch it. So I was still just writing it here and there and writing little bits, but I was just telling myself nobody is going to be interested in this video. There is no point doing it. And this is going to sound ridiculous, but what actually gave me that push was one of the Uno Sanas videos, which obviously, sadly, we can't watch anymore because they deleted the channel. But one of the last videos they uploaded, Markiplier and Crank Gameplays as part of Unasanus, they were just kind of talking about the process of the channel, and they were talking about YouTube as well. And one of the things that Mark said was just, if you want to create something, just do it. There's nothing holding you back. If you have that passion and you have that drive and you want to create something, just do it. And that made me think, I need to finish the goddamn video. Literally, that just somebody saying to me, as much as I don't want to sound like Shia LaBeouf, literally what the only advice I have is do it. Just write your video or just hit record if you don't want to do something scripted, or if you want to be a Twitch streamer, seriously, just press go live. That's the only advice I can give, is just get over whatever fears you've got that nobody's going to watch it, nobody's going to be interested, because there's always going to be somebody out there who resonates with whatever message you're trying to portray, whatever personality you have. There's somebody out there that you're their comfort creator, you're their comfort streamer. They will turn to you when they need company. And that's what really makes doing what we do special. So yeah, the only advice I can give is just do it.
And honestly, it's very simple, but that really is something that resonated with me as well. It's because if you want to start a YouTube channel but you haven't yet, what you're worried about, like, what if I put a video out and no one watches it, or like what if my video is bad for X and Y reason. And the thing is, you kind of have to you have to accept that the first video you release isn't going to be up to, it's not going to be up to your standards. It's just not going to be. Like, no matter how much time you put into it, the fact is, each video that you release, you learn a little bit more, and then you add to the craft over time, and you get better over
Exactly.
time. So you're not gonna smack it right on the head perfectly the first time. You might be one of these creators that does create something that's very watchable to start with, but we all start at different points, and in terms of skill level, but in terms of subscribers, we all start at 0. So
Exactly.
even the people with millions of subscribers, and they look like they've been doing this for ages, but you also want to keep track of how many videos that they have uploaded. Chances are, if their videos are super engaging, chances are they've also released hundreds and hundreds of videos and have had lots of time to perfect their craft. Whereas you're at 1. Or I guess 0, and then you would be at 1. So like you said, take the dive, just do it, and whether or not your first video gets that much traction, just kind of keep releasing them, and you'll get better and better over time, and you will eventually find your audience. Pretty much guaranteed.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest creators, especially in like the UK YouTube scene, people like Dan and Phil. If you go back to if you take Amazing Phil, for example, he's been at YouTube for over 10 years at this point. If you go back and watch his first ever video, that was filmed using a tiny little webcam that he won in a cereal box. And if you look at where he is now, he had a radio show on the BBC. He's been on 2 world tours. He's written 2 books. He's done all of these amazing things, and he started using a webcam he won in a cereal box. So if he hadn't uploaded that video, he wouldn't be where he is today. And it's the same for any creators. If they hadn't just taken that dive with that first probably bad video, they wouldn't be where they are now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up now. This was planned to be about an hour, but we've definitely gone over that. But that's perfectly fine, because this has been a fantastic interview. This has gone very well.
I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for inviting me to your web. Can you show me the way out? Because I think I got lost on the way in.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll definitely help direct you, and just make sure you don't step on any of the corpses, because sometimes they're not all the way dead.
Makes sense. Also, please don't eat me. I did dedicate my FNAF video to you, kind of hoping that would make sure we're cool, right?
Well, like I said to you before, like I don't tend to kill or eat people that still like actually help further my goals. And quite frankly,
Okay.
chances are I'll probably we'll probably collab again in the future, and you still have some use to me, so you're fine for at least the near future.
Oh, good, good. And I'll try and make sure that all of my assistants refrain from trying to experiment on you because, let's be fair, the idea of a spider taking over a human host is terrifying, and we would like to know why. But I'll make them stay away from you. Don't worry about that.
Well, quite frankly, like sometimes on weekends, I am willing to you know uh, talk to people about how I do things and all that. So maybe we can arrange something. So long as it's
Okay.
not too intrusive.
No dissections, of course.
Yeah, I'd rather avoid those. All right,
Put the
guys.
scalpels away, assistants.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much if you were here the whole time, or thanks just for showing up at all. I appreciate you guys. So we have been talking to Dr. Anastasia, the Scare Labs. I put her link down in the description as well as her Twitter handle there if you want to go chat with her and go subscribe to her. She only has 3 videos, but they're amazing. There's a lot of detail put into them. They're really engaging. I highly recommend them. And yeah, also subscribe to me too, I guess, if you want. I mean, you've been here for a while, so I guess throw me a subscribe if you feel like it. All right, guys.
Please subscribe to Silver Threads. He is very good.
Yes, exactly. The
I'm
Scare
sorry, I
Labs.
had to.
The Scare Labs is good. Watch her. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time on The Phantoms Unmasked. Whenever I do eventually get another episode out.
Take care and be safe out there, guys.